rate that it was. I think it's unclear whether business travel has recovered to pre-recession levels yet. You know, back in the first quarter, second quarter, I think it was pretty clear that it had not yet, either at Southwest or the industry. And I've seen reports both ways, where premium travel is returning. I've seen articles suggesting that businesses are buying discount tickets, and so we have to work a little bit to figure out what business travel is, you know, and so we don't have a clear indication there. In the second quarter, we did report that our full fare demand had slowed in the second quarter. But you know, that was on the heels of very significant fare increases for us this year because of fuel prices, so that's not too surprising. So I guess just recognizing that there's some confusing aspects in the data right now, I feel pretty good about business travel. Leisure travel, of course, has been very strong and wasn't bad even in the recession, so it's held up very nicely.
On the issue of fares and pricing, there's a lot of markets now where you guys are not necessarily the low fare carrier anymore, at least not all the time. And I'm just wondering, does that change your overall strategy when you're in markets where price may not be the weapon that it's been in the past? How does that change your sort of competitive strategy in some of these areas?
Well, I think a couple of points to make there. First of all, we've been monitoring that question a long, long time. And at least in my pretty long experience at Southwest, we have never been the lowest fare every single point in time, every day. That's just never been possible. It is rare that either then or now that you'll have airlines with fares that are published that are lower than ours because of the way everybody matches each other. There's plenty of evidence, as you know, that in markets that we don't serve, that the fares are much higher, and that's very true to this day. You just witnessed what happened in South Carolina, you know, when we launched service. So recognizing that, I don't feel like our relative comparison is any different today than even 15 or 20 years ago. And yes, there will be times where we will be sold out of our low fares and competitors will have lower fares. We're pretty disciplined about maintaining the integrity of our fare structure in terms of the days away from travel. So if you're trying to book a ticket the day before, we're not going to have a deeply discounted ticket available. That's just, we think that those seats are reserved for customers who need last-minute flexibility, and we're very consistent with that. The introduction, especially fees, especially bag fees, has complicated that somewhat. And I think many customers will factor the fees in to their purchasing decision, and on that basis, of course, we compare even better. But a lot of customers don't, and I do think that anecdotally, those are some of the reports that you hear when we're not the lowest fare. But overall, if you look at our average fares compared to competitors that are ultimately realized in city pair markets, we're going to compare well. You know, one thing though that is, I think in fairness, that I should point out is, as time has gone by and fuel costs have increased and they become a larger component of the overall cost structure, you know, right now we're all paying about the same price for gas, you know, so that really diminishes our overall cost discount, if you will. And so the cost advantage has narrowed primarily because of that. And that is something that we need to be mindful of, and we are, and intend to keep, especially the rest of our cost structure, very efficient and certainly lower than our competitors, number one. And then it does urge us to find industry-leading ways to be more fuel efficient than the next guy, because it is a way to have a sustainable competitive advantage. New airplanes, new technology, more efficient flight routing, so our flight operations has been evolving significantly, using more automation, quite, again, honestly, and I think that it's paid some very nice dividends for us.